Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. You know Sam Crimm in any number of modes. He's been a businessman for years. He's been an aviator for years. He's chairman of the Tullahoma Airport Authority. And now we're going to have a new dimension to Sam. He's also in the drone business. And that's our subject matter for today. So, Sam, thanks for coming on board. And
thanks for asking.
Among other things, we're just, this is really an educational program, folks. We all need to know and get familiar with all the ins and outs and ups and downs in the drone business. So we're going to try to settle things out a little bit this morning. And you got a gizmo, the deck here. What is that?
That's a DJI Phantom UAV and the controller for it right here.
And the UAV is?
Unmanned aerial
vehicle. Okay. All right. So that's what that is. Well, okay. Let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll come back and get into the drone business.
All I have to do is think about what I was physically before and what I am now, and I don't ever want to go back to that original situation.
The overall mission of the rehab team is always what is best for the patient and how we can facilitate maximum potential from every resident.
Well, the most important thing to me is that I'm allowed to do whatever I want to do, you know.
Everyday miracles at Life Care Center of Tullahoma.
The Kia Summers on Us sales event is going on right now at Russell Barnett Kia of Tullahoma. Let me tell you about this event. Purchase a new Kia Sedona, Kia Optima, Kia Forte, and receive 0% financing up to 66 months and your first 3 payments for free. For a limited time only, no strings attached. With America's best warranty, the 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty, Kia is the power to surprise. The Kia Summers on Us sales event going on right now. Why buy anywhere else?
The animal shelter has served Tullahoma dogs for nearly 30 years. Now, you can help us build a bigger and better no-kill shelter. Your tax-deductible gift is matched dollar for dollar. So come on, bark it forward and donate now to have your tax-deductible gift matched. Make your check payable to the COT Shelter Building Fund and go to tullahomatn.gov to see all the unique gifts available for your generosity. For more details, you can call City Hall at 455-2648.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Sam Crimm, and the subject is drones, and we want to find out a little bit more about them. Sam, talk generally about the uses. The thing we're most familiar with is we've been hearing for several years of the military use of them, flying over in Afghanistan, for example, and taking out a few Talibans, and there's a lot of controversy about that and the use that we put to them. But so we know it has extensive military use, but how about the personal and the business use? Talk a little bit about that.
Well, let's talk about the business use first. You know, that the drones can be used for agriculture, for surveying, for 3D modeling, for construction type things. You know, they can do crops, analyze crops, how they're growing by flying over it. There's just an inexpensive way to cover small areas without the expense of an aircraft, you know, an airplane or a big helicopter or anything like that. And they're they're evolving every day from the sensors and the technology, the capabilities of them. This particular model that's on the table, I can put in waypoints and it'll autonomously fly these waypoints at a certain altitude that I put in, or it will follow me. Or I can say I'm doing a construction progress, or I'm trying to focus on something, I can put it over the center of the subject matter and I can fly out how far I want to, and then I can set it to go, and it will fly a perfect circle at a speed that I set, and it will rotate all the way around the subject matter. So you'll be able to you could do 3D modeling with it like that because it's always precise with GPS, and it's got sensors on the bottoms for altitude and so on. So there's a lot of positive things that UAVs are used for. You just don't ever
we
hear
might mention you've got it in your lap there.
Oh, yeah.
Sam brought 3 pages worth of uses for this device.
You've seen the videos where they've crashed into people at weddings, but it's good for that kind of something different for your wedding. But golf courses, promotional videos, 360 panoramas. A lot of people are now asking for these to when they do skyscrapers in cities and stuff. They want a floor by floor view, 360 degrees, so they can use that as marketing. So when their building's 100 stories high, they want to know what the view is going to be at 100 stories. So they measure it out with the
or
UAV,
50 stories.
Or 50. And they measure it out, and then they do a 360, and that way they know how what the view that the customer will have out that window.
The tenants are going to have,
yeah. Real estate, it's a good way to display and market real estate, commercial and residential. It's a good way to disaster response. You've heard of some things in the news where they've used a fire chief up in Maine used a UAV to carry a fishing line over to somebody that was stuck on a little island
in a flood, and he grabbed the line, and then he pulled over a bigger one, then he pulled over a life preserver, and while he's doing that, they could pull him back across with that, and that made a big difference. They've used them for the Canadian Mounties have used them in Canada to find people, because it's got infrared sensors on it and such like that you have to buy that as an extra option, but it can fly that, and it's the heat differential. They found people that way, so
especially in the cold.
Yeah, all these people that get lost out in the woods or up on the mountain or somewhere. Yeah,
and it's a quicker way to dispatch and all. I mean, some occasions, if you're having to cover a lot of area, they're not economical, but simply because this model will run for 20 minutes before the battery runs out. So you got to go out.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
And the battery is it in the machine or in your? No,
it's it has to be inside the machine there. So the controller is also powered, but the battery is located in there because it's doing the motors, of course.
Well, that is the limitation then, how much time your battery will last.
You can't just hang out there for an hour.
Yeah.
And technology will get it where you'll be able to do that, and I'm pretty sure in the near future.
Well, you'll be recharging the battery of solar.
Solar and other different ways, yeah. Some of the other things like the disaster part, unfortunately some people have been flying out in California with the wildfires, and that's a hazard because these things could hurt an airplane pretty bad, so that's not good. But for flooding and the damage assessments, you can cover a city block really easy with a unit like this, or actually you could probably cover 4 or 5 with something like this, and you can see any problems with that. Fire detection, as an example, I've seen online where somebody's flown for a fire department on top of a big building, and they could see the fire and such like that was happening, and that way the fire chief knew how to respond with his equipment and things like that.
Yeah.
Of course, the city and government, police surveillance, border patrols, they use the big ones, the Predators and things like that can loiter for hours and hours, and they're flown by somebody on the ground at a base somewhere else in the world. Forestry, highway patrol, bridge inspection. Bridge inspection now takes a big piece of equipment that you go down. These can fly along through the edge of it and do high quality pictures now to find cracks and different problems that bridges have. All our bridges are having to be rebuilt nowadays because of the age of them. Let's see what else. We got, here's some of the land mapping, carbon capping, renewable energy type things, you know, for oil exploration, environmental monitoring. You know, you can fly over this, and the sensors are so small that you just carry it out in your truck. And so I need to look at this creek and what's going on. You can fly a part of the creek and get the information you need.
Yeah, you had a picture of one flying along an above ground pipeline.
Yeah.
Doing and the that's pretty expensive. There it is to
Yeah.
keep track of the pipe and whether it's leaking somewhere. Or
Well, see,
not.
and you got to realize that the most popular UAVs are the quadcopters, but UAVs can come in a fixed wing aircraft too, just like an RC airplane. That they can put sensors on that, and they have a lot more range. You know, at some point in time, 4 or 5 years ago, they autonomously flew an amateur modeler with his aircraft, flew from Nova Scotia to Ireland, and it was autonomous. And it was a small RC airplane. So if you don't depend on battery power, and if you depended on fuel to do a pipeline or something like that, they could put sensors on a fixed wing aircraft and fly that, and it will fly, you know, you could put enough fuel on it to fly for several hours.
But if you saw a problem, you wouldn't be able to stop.
No,
and
exactly.
take a look at it,
but
yeah.
you know, when you're, you know, they
Yeah.
do that in aircraft now, or big airplanes, and so they're reviewing it, and then they go back and review the footage. They got wildlife counts, poaching, marine biology. You know, then the insurance part of it, it's good for claims adjustment.
We could use it to catch the elephant poachers in
Yeah.
Africa, huh?
Yeah. And the thing is, you think about it, it's the reason it's so easy is because of the cost. Versus a $400,000 airplane, you can get up to $30,000 unit or something like that with all the sensors, and it'll go out and fly for you and come back and give you the information.
For 30,000.
Oh,
I was
well-
going to ask you about that. You know, I think there were some Christmas presents available for $39 or something.
Yeah, and you get what you pay for. You know, $39 is a nice toy, and it's fun to play with.
You can hold in your hand.
And then some of the units, like a Phantom 3, I'm selling for $1,300, and it comes with a battery and a charger, controller, and it does what you want to. They've got other units out there that are an Aspire that's $3,000. And then you go on up to the other models and stuff they have. The time you buy the model and the accessories and any of the sensors that you want, whatever you're going to do work, you can spend $30,000, $40,000, $50,000.
Okay, but you got a lot more use out of that than you would if you were doing it with an airplane. Or
Well,
something.
you think about it.
Yeah.
You know, an airplane, the initial investment in an airplane is to buy a new airplane is $500,000 nowadays, just as a ballpark, you know, an average price. And then you got to fly it, and you got to maintain it in terms of, you know, how expensive maintaining of an aircraft. And you have to have an individual flying it, and you got to have an individual monitoring the equipment that you're using to do any kind of surveillance and all. So when you fly one of these, it may be two people, but they don't have to be, you don't have that $500,000 investment in an airplane, and the sensors are so much smaller.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're going to need to take a short commercial break. So the cost of these things is anywhere from $40 to infinity, huh?
Infinity, yeah.
Depending on if you want a big military use machine, you're going to, I don't have any idea how much do they cost, the ones they'd fly over Afghanistan, for example.
Billions.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll come back and talk some more.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades, and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
Let the Smokehouse be your mountain getaway destination in beautiful Monteagle, Tennessee. Enjoy our cabins, restaurant, and old general store. Shop thesmokehouse.com featuring homemade barbecue sauces, jellies, and many other fine Tennessee products. Our live Music on the Mountain series features some of the best local and Nashville talent every Friday and Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. No cover, kids welcome.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Sam Crimm, and the subject is drones. And we're trying to get rid of as much mystery as we can with respect to drones, and there's a lot of it out there. Well, let's talk some about that, Sam. There is a lot of uncertainty, a lot of concern, because people are not that familiar with them yet, but they're also concerned about their privacy and having some control over this thing. Who regulates them to start with? Is it
the FAA regulates them, and if you fly them outside, the FAA claims to.
That's the Federal Aviation Administration, which is the same outfit that regulates airplanes.
Airplanes and so on.
Right.
So the FAA says they own and regulate from all airspace, from the surface to outer space, I guess is their height. They're more concerned, until these came along with airplanes operating aircraft anywhere from 1,000 feet up. Now that these have become prolific in the market, then they have had to come up with regulations and rules, and it's going so fast on them they can't keep up with it. But that's why they've come in and say you can't operate within 5 miles of an airport at higher than 400 feet.
A few basic rules. You can't operate within 5 miles
of an airport.
Of an airport.
Right. If it's an uncontrolled airport like ours, we had a meeting with the city and stuff. They would like if you're going to fly, just contact John Glass out there and say, hey, I'm going to be over here flying, and that's what needs to be said. But if it's a control tower, you have to get their permission. And the other thing is, when you do this as a...
So you don't have to be 5 miles in Tullahoma?
No, you can be up to 3 miles to it, but you can't fly over 200 feet. So it stair steps out. And they give that buffer and stuff in there for aircraft and so on. The thing about, I'm a licensed pilot, and I've got the FAA certification that they call it a 333. To operate it commercially and to do these things that I'm doing, I'm a current pilot. I have a medical, and that's a requirement. And I got that certificate, and I'm legally authorized to fly it for commercial things.
Who is required to be certified, or whatever the FAA does? Who's required to meet certain training
Well, for a toy, and when you look at it from a modeling standpoint and so on, every individual can operate one of these. Anybody can fly this particular model, but when you go and put it in the commercial applications, they want you to be more knowledgeable of airspace and flight and so on. So that's why they've limited to licensed pilots only. So you have to be a current
licensed airplane pilot.
Airplane or aircraft pilot.
Aircraft, yeah.
Airplanes and helicopters and anything. You can have a sports pilot's license and be able to fly this commercially. But individual kids and stuff like that to fly it around in their yard and all like that, they're not expecting that.
Up to what size?
Well, I don't know that they put a size on. I think it's the applications that you use it on is the key to it.
Uses you put it to.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, let's talk about basic rules. In the first place, you're not able to fly it over 400 feet anyway, are you? Or are you?
Not really, but people are, and and if you're, that's where you have to use good judgment. That's where pilots and stuff have more knowledge of the airspace. When I talk about airspace, I'm talking about, what they learned in flying and what they had to learn and take tests and practice with that. So, you can't be flying down in your neighborhood and just hover over somebody's house or outside their backyard and all, because you're trespassing. But the biggest thing is that you can't shoot them down, but you're not supposed to be spying on people, and that's a no-no. And so if you're out flying and you go past going to an open field or something, that's a different story. But if you stop and hover as you could with this and start nosing around somebody's yard, that's an intent that you provide.
So who you going to report it to?
Well, you need to call the local authorities. You need to call the police.
Police?
Yeah. The police can, the police can enforce that type of violations or problems that arise, and they're the people, the first choice. The FAA is. If
the police are trained for it, or they're all having to go through that?
They're learning. Tullahoma's Paul Blackwell's done some investigation about it, and he understands, and I believe the state's passed some rulings and stuff about it in their legislature. All this is common sense and being a good neighbor. Good neighbor being whoever you're next to or wherever you're at flying and stuff like that. When I go fly, I make sure I'm in a part of the parking lot or somewhere that nobody's around. I want to get up, fly my mission that I need to do. If it was for marketing for somebody, fly it, do the job, get back down, and leave. I'm not there to create crowds and problems, and I just want to be real quiet about it. That way people don't think I'm in, that I'm spying on them or whatever.
Well, if one hovers over my house and I shoot it down, what are they going to do?
You're
about
in trouble because you're probably not supposed to shoot the gun in city limits. And the next thing is that you're not the person to enforce those things. That's where you have to call the police to enforce.
What are they going to do to me?
That part I'm not sure about, but destruction of property and so on.
Yeah.
Now, when the FAA comes in to cover flights of these, or places like the wildfires and things that have disrupt aviation, flying over there, like out in California and all, and those are things that are real important, and they would get involved in that with enforcement actions of flying higher than 400 feet. And I've seen a video where a UAV is out flying near helicopters that's covering a news thing, and they're flying up in the same airspace as these guys are, and that's strictly forbidden. So that's when the FAA will come in and enforce and levy fines. And
that's going to be we've talked about pilots, and folks flying airplanes are probably the ones most concerned about these things, aren't they? Including the commercial jets.
Yeah, well, when they're flying on, apparently it's been pretty bad up in the New York area and stuff like that. I find it hard to believe that somebody going 250 knots can spot one of these, or 140 knots could spot one of these, unless it's real close to them.
One that size.
That size, yeah.
But they can also be bigger.
Bigger in that, they test jet engines and stuff for birds and stuff like that, but I'd say plastic and the metal and the motors and stuff is a totally different type of substance to ingest, and it would not be good.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, if, there again, what are they going to do if they catch you flying one in airspace that belongs to the
FAA is going to levy, and they've got the power to do it.
Well, one thing we've sort of mentioned is that this business is moving so fast that the FAA is having trouble keeping up.
They sure are.
The regulation is really falling behind on this because
the technology and the uses, and they're overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been called, among other things, one of the disruptive technologies that's floating around, changing our life. Well, guess what, folks? With that, we've run out of time. We're going to have to take a short commercial break and wrap up.
It's your trademark. That's something special everyone knows and remembers. It's your thing. It's made holidays special for decades and summers unforgettable for the entire neighborhood. It's made everyone laugh every single time. Don't let illness or injury keep you from doing your thing. The rehab team at Life Care Center of Tullahoma is ready to help you live well.
Let the Smokehouse be your mountain getaway destination in beautiful Monteagle, Tennessee. Enjoy our cabins, restaurant, and old general store. Shop thesmokehouse.com featuring homemade barbecue sauces, jellies, and many other fine Tennessee products. Our live Music on the Mountain series features some of the best local and Nashville talent every Friday and Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. No cover, kids welcome.
It's time for every family and business in Tullahoma to go green and recycle. Tullahoma Public Works makes it simple and easy to recycle. Just place your recyclable materials, paper, plastic, aluminum, and cardboard beside your garbage container on the same day your garbage is picked up. Your recycled materials don't have to be in a fancy container. Recycling is not only the right thing to do, it makes sense. Recycling pays. Paying to bury our garbage costs each of us. Please do your part. Let's go green, Tullahoma, and recycle.
We're back, folks, and we've been talking today with Sam Crimm, and the subject has been drones. And we were just interested in trying to get a little more education out there. There's a lot of use for them, a lot of concern about them. So, Sam, you got a short message for the folks?
If you got it for Christmas and stuff like that, use common sense about when you fly it and when you're around people, or
when you fly it and where you fly it.
And where you fly it. If you fly it in your backyard, don't be buzzing around your neighbor unless they know what you're doing. Stay away from people with it and all, because you can injure people. You just got to use good judgment, and you can have fun with them, but you still got to be safe about it, and you got to plan ahead where if you're going to fly and wonder where you're going to land, and wonder what's going to happen with, if you buzz somebody, you could hurt them, so you don't want to do that kind of stuff. You just got to be real conscientious and safe. And
a couple of hard rules about flying around airports.
Yep.
But you can go online. What would you look for online?
The manufacturers, where you buy it, sometimes they have safety and usage on like DJI has a lot of videos out there how to fly and how to operate their equipment. I'm sure the other manufacturers have the same, and YouTube, of course, is a great source for information to help you out with it. Okay.
All right. Well, with that, folks, and you're looking at the Phantom 3 on the table here, and with that, folks, Sam, thanks for joining us today, and good luck with your latest venture, and thank you, folks, for inviting us into your parlor, and we'll see you next time.